Good stuff.
Cool.
Talking about not good stuff, let's jump into our pod. Would you like to start this week?
Um, no.
I shall start. I'm guessing this is also we've already started, probably. I should probably move closer to the microphone. That'd probably be better. Hello, microphone, and
I,
hello, listeners.
I think this is our best opening yet.
I think it is our best one. I think this is brilliant. I think it's our best game. Like Bazball just plays their best game. But welcome to Just Not Crick Pod. It's me here, and Jamie's over there. Hello, Jamie.
Hello.
We missed the second test match. I don't really think many people noticed, but we can pretend that one didn't happen and jump straight into this one. Um, England have lost two on the bounce, and I think I said last time the wheels are coming off for India. I shouldn't speak on podcasts because I said the same thing about Australia and the World Cup, and they won it. Um,
It's almost as if you shouldn't like predict so early into like a 50 game tournament
yeah,
for 5 game
maybe not.
series. It's
It's
just,
it's me it's me and Michael Atherton. Michael Atherton came out of the first test saying momentum was heavily of England and they would really seize this opportunity to win it or along those lines. And then yeah, got caught up in the vibes, I think, which is very easy to do amongst the bads at balling. So you lost the second test, but that happened ages ago, so we're not going to talk about that. Apart from Bumrah bowled very well, Jimmy bowled very well, Jaiswal got a double hundred. England was set 399 to win on the last day, got within 100, gave it a good go. But in the end, India were just that bit more clinical, especially
and
Bumrah.
little Bashir getting his first test
And
wicket.
Bashir, yeah, he got Rowett as a first test wicket, first test match. I think bowled really well. I think he's got we'll talk about fourth test previews in a bit, but I think he's got a good opportunity to play. Um, if not the next game, the last game of the series, definitely. But yeah, definitely bowled nicely from what I watched. And I watched a fair bit, and yeah, I think he's got that kind of tallness and didn't seem phased at all by the situation. Um, yeah, I think was a good addition, much like Hartley and Ryan have been coming from an experience to that. Um, but yeah, second test. Um, yeah, India were just that little bit better. Bumrah was able to take the game away as he so often does. Um, he obviously got that ball to Pope. I'm guessing you've seen that ball to Pope where he Yorks Ollie Pope with an absolute seed of delivery.
Let's say yes, I have seen it.
Yeah,
Let's assume that.
an excellent ball, you could say. And Zach Crawley got two seventies and batted very well. But yeah, that's the second test, apparently. But we're here to talk about our favorite test, the third test. um, which India won. I think it is their largest ever Test victory. Indian fans do tell me if I'm wrong. It might be England's biggest loss since World War II, I think.
No,
Um,
we won World War Two.
True, yeah. So yeah, India won by 434 runs. They scored 445 in the first innings with hundreds from Rohit Sharma and Ravindra Jadeja. Safraz making his debut got 62 very eye-catching runs. Dural 46 as keeper coming in for Bharat. Uh, England made 319 first innings. The most notable innings obviously being Ben Duckett's 153 of 151. Great knock. We'll talk more about the rest of the innings in a bit. But then India just really batted England out of the game supremely. Jaiswal got 214, continuing his mental form. Gill 91, Safraz again 68, 430 for four declared. England then capitulated 122 all out with Mark Wood top scoring with 33 or 15 balls, with Jadeja with 5 for 41, taking man of the match after being injured for the second test. Um, Thoughts on the game? Anything you want to say on the cuff before we get into specifics?
Um, India played very well. I want to get that out the
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Not out the way, but like that's the
Preface
first
it
point
all.
of call.
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
whatever happens after this. But India
Yep.
were supreme. Like
Yeah.
300s. in the game and a 90.
Yeah,
Safaraz got 250s. Bumrah's just continuing being Bumrah. Jadeja and Goldie doing a madness with spin.
yeah, Kuldeep bowled really
It,
well, I thought, in that first innings.
like, they're just a top team. And this is without fucking Kohli as well.
Kohli, Rahul, um, both those missing, and Ashwin for a large segment of it as well. Um, it just always it seems that they just keep losing players, but doesn't affect the strength of India at home. That you had two debuts in this game, and it looks like they've played already like 50 tests. Um, they
Like
just
you look at like when Jack Leach gets injured for England, and
yeah,
we're forced to play one player on debut, one player playing his second Test match, and
hmm
Rian Ahmed, who is a
yeah,
child. So like India have like they can go between like Ashwin, Akshar Patel, Kuldeep,
yeah,
Jadeja,
hmm
and others that I'm definitely forgetting, and just
yeah.
be like keep control and have that much quality. It's
Yeah,
mad.
yeah, I do think, as much as we, tease our IPL special, a lot of, like Jaiswal coming in is a major product of the IPL. I think he plays the Rajasthan Royals with Joss Butler, I think. Um, they're getting such exposure to world-class players from the early stage of their career all the way through. I think that does help developing the players in India. Um, but Safraz, I'm not really sure about his IPL pedigree, but I know in the Ranji Trophy, India's county basically equivalent. I think he's scored like averages like 68, and has done for like the last 8 years or something like that. Sorry if I'm butchering the stats, but his stats in first class cricket are ridiculous. And it felt like it was only a matter of time before he got his chance. And with no Kohli and no Rahul, um, it was a perfect opportunity to come in and show. He reminded me an awful lot of a right-handed Pant. Like the way he plays was very swashbuckly, very aggressive, just very gutsy. I think someone did a mirror image of him batting left-handed, and it looks like he's Pant's twin basically. So you think when Pant does come back, you can have them at 6 and 7. That's going to be quite a aggressive lower order, to say the least. But he looked at home, and yeah, again, like you said, this is a supreme effort from India and Jaiswal as well, especially get a second double hundred in 2 games. I know England were very much down and out, and a lot of the runs he got were when England were basically just lying down, done. But you still got to score the runs, and he does them in such a way that is just very kind of say wag-esque, and you know not overly aggressive to start off the innings, but once he gets going, he looks like he's unstoppable and looks like he's batted all series. Um, so yeah, I can't really compliment him enough, really. Um, would you like to talk about England?
Well, no, but we have to, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, with India playing so well, let's the in England stuff is interesting in this game because the first 2 days you would say were very neck and neck. I think both teams were very much in the game.
Like,
Um,
the thing is, England started really well. We had them
mhm.
about
33
40
for three.
odd, yeah. But
Yeah,
like that's when it got away from like we always
yeah,
go back to the point of like we're in control, we've got a good run of wickets, but we can't
yeah,
string more together. We
yeah,
just let it go on for far too long, and there's
yeah,
an inevitable dropped catch that you should be catching from the guy who goes on to score the 100.
yeah. A tail end wag,
Yeah,
the
like there was
famous.
one moment that pissed me off in particular when they got Rohit's wicket
Yeah,
and they were celebrating like mad, like that's a big turning point in the game. But then Safaraz comes in and just like picks up
yeah,
where Rohit comes up. Like
yeah,
if you're gonna be dickheads when you're celebrating, like at least follow it up with better performances. And
yeah.
if it's a guy that's got 100 plus, then like show him a bit of respect.
Yeah, I mean there was the drop of Rowett. I say a drop, mischance. I think when
It's a drop.
I think it's a very difficult chance. When India were 40 odd for three, it would have been 40 for four, and then you bring Safraz in that situation, and you wonder what it would have been like. I mean, they could have had another 200 partnership, and Jadeja still gets runs. So it's all ifs and buts. But there's a lot of this game where egg is on England's face for not seizing an opportunity, and I think it's similar in the last game, but to a lesser extent. Um, yeah, it it's always I feel like it's a curse of me watching that I think I woke up and I saw they were like 50 for three, and I thought that's a really good start in a what has been renowned as a very flat pitch in India, um, this ground, and I thought I'll be good. And I was able to watch most of that day, and most of that day was watching Rowett and Jadeja on 200. And I was like, great, I'm glad. Um, what I did find funny though was Jadeja running out Safraz in the most biggest barbecue you've ever seen of a run out, and then doing the most muted, like timid sword celebration when he got his 100 because he had got his 110th ball after running out Safraz. He just looked so depressed. um, that was amusing. That was fun. But yeah, I agree. England, I just think maybe missed a slight trick when Safraz came in to really kind of wrestle the initiative back after getting Rowett out. I guess the prefix with that is they've been bowling a long time in these conditions, and how much more did Mark would have in the tank to really go at Safraz as well before you have to go back to the likes of Hartley and Ahmed. Um, but is what it is. They managed to rustle up 400, which I think
Like that's kind of where you have
score.
more than one bowler, though, isn't it? So that when one is
Yeah,
like
yeah,
one's feeling it a bit, you can rotate them
yeah,
instead of like bowling them for like 12 overs in a row,
yeah,
which Stokes likes to do. Not that
yeah. I mean,
I don't think he necessarily did that this game, but
yeah. I mean, I think this is the first game where I've got a lot. I love how much faith is being put in the likes of Hartley and Rayan and stuff. But this is the game where I felt you could see their inexperience start to show more. There's a lot of kind of short balls, a lot of full tosses, less of that kind of hitting that length every time, which Ashwin and Jadeja and Kuldeep can just do over after over. Um, so I think it was a kind of a telltale point when it is three tests, and Test cricket is obviously knackering and that kind of stuff. I think you're kind of seeing that kind of they've not had tons of experience of these kind of conditions and quality of opposition all the time. And India slowly starting to work them out. That you got all that kind of weighing up. So there's a lot of that, but that feels too excusey. I think that there should still getting six balls on a good length and not having two bad balls and over all the time. I
yeah,
feel.
like it's still good for the development on the other side of the coin. Like it's like you can tell they're not bowling well, so they must be able to tell they're not bowling well,
Yeah,
and they know what to do differently. And then they get to watch like world-class spin bowlers,
yeah,
so they can learn from that experience. Like,
yeah, for sure.
and like going back to how India can just swap in an experienced world-class spin bowler for another.
Yeah, yeah,
Like we can't do that. We just don't have that option. So we've got to
no,
rely on them to do that. But we should be relying a bit more on our experienced seam bowlers to try and like hold
mhm.
up an end a bit more. And we've
Yeah.
got
I mean,
the most experienced
yeah.
living
I mean,
human being.
I don't think that I don't think the bowlers in other than a few kind of short stuff, full stuff in the first innings. I don't think England bowled too badly. I thought they started very well. As often happens in India, a good partnership can form. Rowett and Jadeja are very, very good. I think Jimmy bowled pretty well. Is bowling that kind of classic, consistent Jimmy economical stuff. Wood at the top of the innings was fast, quick, made those big indents. Um, but it's just that kind of game where you just wanted a leech who can just bowl one end and go at two and over, whilst you can attack at the other end. Whilst it felt very much like when runs started to eke, it was at all both ends. There was no way of stemming it. And that's where hopefully Hartley will improve over time. That he can, when he needs to hold an end, he can hold an end whilst being attacking. But Is what is. I think, to be honest, um, what was it? 445, from 30 for three doesn't read great. Um, and again, it's that kind of tail wagging stuff, which is just exhausting with England.
Like even
It's
after the
every all time.
Sarfaraz knock, like you had Ashwin and yep,
Jarrell,
yeah,
but
they
even
both got
Bumrah got
20. Like,
26.
yeah, like,
Yeah, it just felt that kind of inevitability kind of factor to it. But in terms of positives, we've got one day. Well, we've got an afternoon and evening session of a positive. Um, England got to, I think it was about 200 for two at the end of day two, and they were only about, I'm gonna say, 240-ish behind, I think. I'm vaguely guessing because it happened days ago. Um, but you had, again, Crawley and Duckett putting on 89 for the first wicket, even though Crawley only got 15. Um, but the main talking point here is Duckett getting 153 and batting very, very, very well from a guy who averaged, I think, 6 or 8 last time he went to India, um, to then get 150 odd, sweeping, reverse sweeping, all that kind of stuff, all innings, going at pretty much six and over for most of the time he was batting. Um, Looked as though Rowett was a little bit rattled that kind of times, in the same way I think other captains have been, where England just are just going at it all the time and they can't stop the runs. It's just flowing all the time. It was brilliant to watch. Pope batted pretty well as well, but I think, the way we praised Pope in that first game, I think Duckett's got to have similar praise from the way he went out at the top of the order and really took the game to India in this. Um, did you see much of his innings?
I mean, no, I was asleep for a lot of things,
Sure.
but like he, like with the Pope innings, it's not always the stupid flat scoop shots, which look great when they come off, but can make you look like a dumbass when you get out to them. But
Yeah.
like that's not to, like, to England's detriment. That's just how they play, and it's their style. But
Yeah.
like he's doing those kinds of shots as the reverse sweeps and
Yeah.
switching, but he's doing like massive cut shots and
Yeah.
everything as well. It's like when England are able to put the weird with the classic in tandem, they
Yeah.
play well.
Yeah.
When they goes like Bazball and only Bazball,
Yeah.
it kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
But like we've seen Pope and Duckett manage to melt two styles together
For sure.
and get results. And
Yeah. And yeah, you're right. It's not all sweeps. Like there's so many shots from Duckett, which was like down the ground or cover drives, all that kind of stuff, playing proper shots against, Boomer and stuff. And I think, his game has come on leaps and bounds, and to see him like this now is, experience and taking on the best bowlers in the world like this, it was brilliant. And definitely his best when you have got that kind of mix, and it's not kind of like cricket captain aggression all the way up. It's nice to kind of settle middle bar. Um, but he just never looked in trouble. He had a few kind of player misses early on, but he scored, the bulk of those runs in the evening session of day two. And you had it where, England were only two down, 200 on the board. You're like, well, if they bat most of day three, they will be, at parity or probably with a lead. The momentum was firmly with England at that point. Because you then have Ashwin have to pull out the test because of a family emergency. So then you have India, um, with no Ashwin, relying on Jadeja just coming back from an injury, um, and no third spinner, and a leg spinner in Kuldeep. A leg spinner, you would think from the way he bowled the previous day that it could be fairly easy to get away, but um, did not happen. And what we had instead was probably very eerily parallel to the Lord's Ashes test. Like, when Lyon went off injured and England had a real opportunity to just, seize the game. And then we were lucky enough to be there to watch a England collapse. Very similar to this one. Um, I don't even know where to start. Like,
I mean, you said it there, like the inability to seize control.
yeah,
like the only player throughout the innings that did that was Duckett.
Yeah, yeah,
Like we can say they were 200 and whatever for two, but I kind of think we lost it when Crawley's wicket went. Like Duckett was going along really nicely at like 60, like over 100 strike rate, and
mm.
Crawley's just there doing his
Watch him.
yeah a little bit like,
Yeah, yeah.
but like there's no problem with that.
No, no, no.
Like the kind of shot he played to get out, like, you can just either leave that or play defensively. You both don't both need to, as batters, Bazball all the way through.
No.
You
Yeah,
can have one hold an end and just see through and supplement the batter that's currently in form.
yeah.
Like I just don't understand how England don't see it like that and just go gung
Yeah.
ho, cold ball all the way through to.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of everyone shares the same sentiments. So, yeah, but I think Pope batted well as well. He got 39. They put on about 90 together as well, and then he was adjudged LBW to Siraj by a ball that was barely clipping leg stump, but that them just the rules. Um, they
Well, to
yeah,
quickly quote Ben Stokes, hitting is hitting.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we'll get to another Ben Stokes point later, but the I mean the big talking point, and I feel like I've aged many years from all the stuff I've seen about it, is Root's dismissal on the morning of the third day, when he was reverse scooping Bumrah and was caught at second slip. Good catch, by the way. Um, I What are I mean, is yours just, I guess your reaction is going to be similar to what you just said, that, the inability to take control of a game. Would you say that shot is on, or would you say that, nah, don't, Joe?
I mean, Root's done it off the first ball of a session,
Yeah.
so I don't have an issue with him playing the shot
Oh, absolutely
necessarily.
not.
It's
No
just
way.
the game awareness and management.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like play that shot when India are under a bit of pressure,
Yeah, for sure.
or like when they're
100%.
not expecting it,
Yeah.
or when you know you can really pull it off. But I don't think he was in the position that was definitely gonna pull off because like Pope did his weird new behind
Yeah.
or
Go
flat
scoop.
scoop when
Yeah.
he's not looking at it.
Yeah.
Like that kind of shot is
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
for most games because like no one's doing a long stop, are they? No
No,
one's doing a
no.
fine Birdman or long slip.
Yeah.
It,
No,
it,
no, for sure.
it's got to like be a partner to the your other batsman.
Yeah,
Like
definitely. I mean, I think, especially considering Root's not in decent form at the moment, like he's struggling for runs, which is very odd for Root. In the midst of the Ashes and the New Zealand series and stuff like that, he was in very good form and seeing the ball very well. And he's facing bowlers more like kind of Hazelwood and Scott Boland and Matt Henry and stuff, who have it on that kind of length where you know what you're going to get. But Bumrah is such a master of the craft in India that you don't know if he's going to suddenly spear in a Yorker or go short. I think he's just too difficult a bowler to predict to play that kind of shot, in my opinion. And I just feel, it's not anti Bazball to say soak up a bit of pressure, because then in 2 overs, when Bumrah can't bowl anymore because it's too hot and he's bowled his 5 overs, you can then really cash in and go as hard as you want. Um, I don't understand how saying just take 2 overs just to see this out. They haven't got Ashwin. If we bat all day, we've got a good chance of winning this game. You're not going to win that game with that shot then, are you? I don't really see, even if Root would say, I mean, who am I to criticize Root, who's got almost 12,000 test runs? That'll be Stokes' argument, which is fair enough. But I don't understand the Root philosophy of that to be like, oh, I want to get rid of slip to put a man back there to make them bowl somewhere else. But Boomer's only going to have like 2 more overs tops at this stage. Is that really, in terms of the game, the most biggest win, or could you just see him out with the experience you have? Um,
And like
In the
looking at
same way,
the
yeah.
sorry, like looking at the bigger picture of the game throughout,
Mm.
like England batting for such a shorter amount of time, even if they score big,
Hmm.
they're giving
Yeah,
their bowlers less chance to rest.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
like
this
there's
is yeah.
no wonder in the second innings if they can't get as many wickets
Yeah,
or
I mean that was inevitable. Yeah, the second
like
innings was completely inevitable. Yeah, like it was always going to happen. I think I can't remember what the stat is, but I think they've not batted over 100 overs since Pakistan, I think. And that's, it doesn't surprise me. Um, because that's going to take the mental toll. Like scoreboard pressure is great and getting there quickly is great, but keeping India out there, keeping Jarswal out there for 120 overs in that heat and then asking to go open again, is he going to get 200 again? I mean, maybe, but like it's going to be more difficult when he's fatigued. Um, but yeah, I mean, you look at when like Stokes bats, even though this is this team made in the Stokes image, Stokes very rarely comes out from ball one and it's like, I'm going to whack it. Pretty much every Stokes inning starts with him facing about 20, 30 balls for about 10, and then he goes. I don't understand, Root with all those oozes of experience can't see that in this situation to be like, okay, let's bat this first hour, be easier to bat after. The morning session's the most difficult, then let's go. But, we're just running in circles again with it. I mean, I think I have no problem with the shot. I think the shot is great, and in this, Root rarely fails on it basically, and it is a good scoring option for him. But I just feel in this situation where you're 1-1 in the series at this point, bat all day, and you've got a very good chance of winning this game, um, and didn't. And that's, I mean, it feels very harsh to center it on one player, but it did that was a turning point, and England lost 8 for 95 after this, well, including this. So it was a catalyst. So it's a big thing to do. I don't think it's the worst shot in the world that the Telegraph journalist said, which I feel is I don't really want to get his name because that's a waste of writing. Considering he wrote that it was one of the best shots in Test cricket, 8 months ago. So
nah, call him out.
shall we get his
He won't
name?
be he won't be listening or watching.
Yeah, I mean those are famous last words, but I couldn't care less.
Nah, call out the knobheads and hypocrites.
I can't even pronounce your first name, mate. It's Silidberry. It's SCYLD. Answers on a postcard. Um, yeah, so his original comment was Joe Root's reverse scoops kicked off the most dazzling hour of batting I've seen in 480 tests, compared to Joe Root's latest Bazball shot as the stupidest shot in English Test cricket history. So it's good, well done, good luck to you. Enjoy your paycheck for that. We've then got the rest of the collapse. And I think we'll talk more about the other England batters in the second innings, I'd say. But they were all at 319, and as we mentioned, it was kind of foregone conclusion that India were just going to do what England should have done, still go at four and over, but bat 98 overs, keep the fielders out. That bowlers haven't had basically a day out of the field in this game, and they've got to go out and do it again. Asking Jimmy at 41 to be like, off you go get us those early wickets, please. Mark Wood, whose body is frail as it is, be like, yep, you can just bowl at 95 miles an hour again. That's fine. You have another break. Go on. It's just
And then
game
like you've got
management.
to question the selectors and
Yeah.
McCullum in that like you're picking these bowlers to play this style of cricket where you're not
Hmm.
getting as much rest. So why are
Yeah.
you consistently picking a 40 plus year old and a broken human being?
Yeah. Because
Not
you
broken
can,
human
yeah,
being, broken
yeah.
human body person. He's a gem of a person.
Yeah. I mean, he bowled very well in this game, Wood. I mean, I would very much kind of just not discredit the second innings, but I think it lands little kind of consequence because you just knew what was going to happen the way England was so fatigued. But he bowled really well in that first innings, Wood, and still bowled his little heart out in the second innings as much as he
Yeah.
could. But
Like I was speaking to a friend of ours about like fitness management as tactics in football. Like if
yeah,
you're playing a high pressing game, for example, you're not going to
mhm.
be playing an unfit like front line because you want them to
No,
be pressing hard all the time.
yeah,
So if you want to play as England do and give your bowlers less time to recover,
Yeah.
either like their recovery sessions in between like the field sessions, like they have to be top class, or you
Yeah.
need to change the bowlers
Hmm.
because they're
Yeah.
otherwise not, literally not fit for purpose.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not
I
to
know.
say they're not good enough or they're not quality enough, because Wood and Anderson clearly are. But if
Hmm.
they're not getting sufficient rest between innings, you can't like
Yeah.
reliably ask them to go out and perform to the best because they just can't.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. And this is the third game in a row in this series where England have had a over 140 run deficit. And like they got away with it ish in the first two games, but India's batters aren't always gonna, let them get away with it. And there's also that kind of mental toll of the bowler, isn't it? To be like, gotta go do it again and gotta try and drag us back in and do all this hard yard and hard works. But I can guarantee you for 100 million% that although the bowlers, put their everything in, the bowlers are going to be the ones to change, and the batters will say the same. That's just the fundamental fact. Um, so that'll be nice. Uh, right. So England doth collapse in the second innings, 122 all out, which again was kind of predictable considering the state of the game. You had a little run out for Duckett because of course you did. Um, and then just Jadeja spinning a web as you expect, and some later order flourish from Wood. Again, I don't really have that much to talk about from this because it's just kind of inevitable. Um,
Like, what can you say?
I
Like,
Yeah, it was odd though. There was a bit of oddness. I mean, I guess again it's fatigue and it's they're knackered because of course they are. But it was very un-England-ish how they went about it. Like, I think they were like 20 odd for none or 20 odd for one after 10 overs. They were like it didn't really seem like they'd gone out with a clear intent or a clear mindset of what they wanted to do. There was no kind of putting the um attack to India or anything like that. It felt very like it was only until Wood came out and started smashing it where they would, actually trying to hit runs. Hit runs, that's a very cricket term. Um, it just felt weird, but again, I guess there's that kind of mental fatigue and stuff. Um, but yeah, just in terms of the game, I suppose you also had the funny Zach Crawley LBW, which Stokes has been very aggrieved about, considering that the replay on the screen showed the ball not hitting the stumps, but then it was umpire's call, um, which I think is, and then the umpires come out and said that is a kind of technical error or anomaly or something, and that's just not really that great, is it, to have something on screen showing the ball not hit the stumps, but then being umpire's call. Um, but those are just Zach Crawley's not going to suddenly get you 600 runs. I think there's a time and place for those kind of fights and battles. I don't really think it really makes a difference in terms of the context of this game. Um, but I did put out to our beloved audience a question, if anyone had any kind of questions about the game. The main one that came back was about Johnny Bairstow um, and his recent form. Um, the main question being, should the only other batter we've got on the squad is Dan Lawrence. So to you, Jamie, do you think Dan Lawrence should come in and play ahead of Johnny Bairstow?
yes,
You do?
yeah.
Let us hear your rationale.
Bairstow was playing shit, so how much worse can that Dan Lawrence be? And Bairstow's been playing shit for a while now. Like, he came back from that bad injury,
Yeah,
being previously been on fire, and just
yeah,
hasn't been the same player. And
yeah,
this just kind of feels like old England, where they've got a player out of form and they're just reluctant to drop them because
yeah.
he's a good lad and he's got some good mates in the team. It's
I
like,
mean,
if you're playing
yeah,
like shit, you can't get away with it.
no,
Like the whole team played like shit for a large portion of this game.
yeah,
But
hmm
Bearco's consistent lack of form is too evident to ignore, and you can't like continue to back a player.
yeah.
Like,
Well, my
that's
struggle,
detrimental to the team. Like,
yeah. again, it looks to me like a lot of he's got a couple of good balls in this series. I would say that I think the ball in the first innings of this he got was very, very good. The ball in the first test he got was very good. But there's his shot he played in the second innings was awful. Just sweeping Jadeja like out of nothing, and it just looked bad. Um, but he has struggled. I mean, McCullum has come out and obviously backed him as he would, and I think it means he'll play both games. Um, but I do think I've got his stats since the 2022-2023 Ashes. He's played 19 tests, average is 49.5 with six test hundreds. And I think an interesting stat is that he obviously didn't play on the roads that most of the batters did in Pakistan. That being said, a large chunk of that average definitely comes from those. What was it? He got 200s against India at Edgbaston, and then he got two against New Zealand as well. Um, so the bulk of the runs obviously came in that kind of segment. And that was that kind of purple patch of Bairstow in 2022 was amazing, and that was brilliant, and it's some of the best cricket I've seen him play and an England player play. Um, but you do feel he's nearing 100 tests. Um, and I think he's had some good memories for England, but I don't think they've necessarily been all great. And it feels like 100 tests feels a lot for a player like Bairstow. As much as I rate him, I think he's great. Um, but 100 tests for someone who's had kind of purple patches feels a lot. I don't really know where our point is going with this.
Like for
But
those 100 games, like has he ever really clicked with Test cricket as a format? Like maybe that 2022,
yeah,
but like otherwise, I don't think he's really fit in as a Test match kind of player.
yeah. I mean, even went to last year where it's sort of like you thought, okay, he's a batter in his team now. Oh no, now he's going to be the keeper again. Um, like he's always been that kind of where is he going to bat? What's he going to do? Is he going to keep? He's going to bat. Is what's it's it's always been back and forth with Bairstow. He will play these last two games. I mean, there's no shadow of a doubt that he will. He could get 100 in the next game.
No,
Hang on, he might. It's there's a chance. Um, I mean, I would. Problem is, if you pick Dan Lawrence, you're picking also someone just off the back of nothing. Again, just being a mate amongst the team. Um, fresh off probably the International T20 League in Dubai. Um, you
well
could
then,
say,
as the England selectors and coaches, pick someone better.
well, this is where the whole system comes a bit sort of like what you're doing, how's it going. I think Dan Lawrence also is good because he offers you another bowling option. So if you want, don't want to rely as heavily on route as a spinner when he's also struggling with the bat, then he can offer you that with the ball. And I think he did bat pretty well in the last tour of India. He got a couple of 50s, I think, Lawrence, maybe. Um, Probably it's a couple of runs where it was a bit of a dead rubber, but he still has experience. Um, but yeah, I mean they'll go Bairstow, and I think I can understand the fact that Bairstow was at the beginning of this kind of regime, he was kind of that driving force of what they're about. And it would be very this kind of team to then not see him through for this series at least. Whether that's right or wrong, he will play. Um, and we'll see what happens. Maybe if they lose the next game, then maybe Dan Lawrence has a go in the last game as the dead rubber. Um, but it then also leads to the kind of question of for me with Folks as well, because Folks, without a shadow of a doubt, is I think the best keeper in the world. Like some of the takes he's got in this series as well have been brilliant. Like he's getting under edges off spinners, which like Gilchrist came out the other day said I never got one. I could they're too good. It's impossible. Like the reaction time you've got to have for those is unreal. Um, but I think you have to also within this kind of game of modern test cricket, your keeper has to offer more of the bat. And I think Folks is a good batter, but is he in your top seven? And how do you out in this kind of day and age, do you still weigh being a masterful keeper as high as offering runs of the bat? It's that kind of weird. How would you view it of Ben Folks? Because I think it's a tricky one. Like if you drop best, only relying on Folks of the bat.
I mean, if you're dropping Bairstow, you're replacing him with another batter to
Mm,
ease the burden off of folks from that.
yeah.
So, like, if you're going to replace folks as well because his batting isn't up to scratch, who's your keeper?
Well, yeah.
Like, I would rather have a definitely good keeper play
Hmm.
over a hypothetical kind of good at both.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
You're
It's fair.
you're getting a world-class keeper in folks
Yeah.
regardless. He might get a score, he might not.
But
That's
he is
not
saving you runs with what the catches he can pull off, isn't he? That's the thing.
exactly.
That kind of sometimes outweighs if he averages 30 with the bat and gets a couple of 50s every now and then, but takes stumpings that no other keeper could, then I guess that kind of outweighs it. I just think it'll be interesting to see how it goes over the next few months of the test side and the makeup of the keeper and the batter. But yeah, I do feel for like folks does need some runs as well. It's just my feeling. Um, did I have any other stats about this? Probably not. Um, McCullum came out to obviously back up Root, as did Stokes, because of course he did. Do you want to hear what McCullum said, or do you
Yeah.
expect it's going to be the same?
I,
So
I
yeah,
expect
so
it's very cold test, but sure. Yeah.
of course it is, because that's what we are in. Um, so McCullum said, people see a shot like that and go, Joe Root is struggling to deal with this new regime. His impact on the very game is still very, very significant. Imagine if this becomes the norm for Joe as well, with the talent he possesses and the history he's got, then what's the ceiling? Do we want a normal Joe Root or even a better Joe Root? How many games are we going to win if that happens?
I mean, didn't a normal Joe Root was like holding a really shit England team together with how many runs he was getting.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like a conventional route is as good as a
But
weird
also, yeah, I mean, but
route.
also I think that he's also been playing just fine in this regime, but also I don't understand the criticism of him being like, oh, he's not Bazball, but he's been averaging 50 in this era with a strike rate about 70, 80. But just because he's out of form, the argument is now, oh, he can't play Bazball. The batters just get out of form. Like it just
It,
happens.
it's a weird of the 11 batters in the side.
Yeah,
It's a weird it's weird to pinpoint route
yeah, yeah,
as a weak spot in the side.
yeah. I mean, it's also really strange because I think have I got the other stat here that it's so bizarrely un-England in that you've got the top three being Duckett, Pope, and Crawley being the best batters. So Duckett's averaging 48, Pope 47, Crawley 38. Um, and then Stokes is 31, Folkes 18, Bairstow 17, Root 12. So it's like a complete bizarre role reversal in terms of what an England is to have a solid top three and then the middle order, which is normally the powerhouse, being left wanting. I think it's just quite interesting. But yeah, I mean, you've got obviously got root struggles. Best, so I think has really struggled coming back from that major injury. And I think a lot of sports people do. As soon as you have one bad one, I think it's sometimes going to be difficult to get the same vibe. And obviously, you got lack of folks runs. And I think Stokes has batted all right with anything without anything kind of major apart from that first game. Um, I'm waffling. Um, what do you when you've got an England crisis happening like this? What do you think is a likely scenario to happen in the next game? Because I've got another quote for you here. I just want to hear your guesses. What England's thought process might be, or what
Uh,
Stokes's thought process might be.
I mean, it's probably play the same team, just send him back out, do the same thing. Bazball, Bazball, Bazball. Like maybe make one change to the bowler.
Well, you can make one change to the bowl, but do you reckon there's another way that you could balance the bowling attack?
Play more batters. It feels like the
So,
Bazball answer to that question.
well, Stokes has said this. I'm not gonna lie, I feel really good. I've managed to get my first ball out 100%. I think day one or day two here. Me as a person, I like to maybe jump the gun a little bit too much, but yeah, things are feeling really good. But I've got my whole body used to bowling again, so not saying no, but not saying yes either on the possibility of him bowling in the series. After he said at the beginning of the series there was categorically no way he was going to bowl in this series, and is now saying pretty much that he's going to bowl in the next game.
I mean,
Thoughts?
he said he likes to jump the gun. He shot a gun saying he won't bowl at all. I don't know. A lot of the Stokes quotes lately have been a bit weird and like trying to detract from the poor performances and
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about Stokes bowling stuff. I do wish there was a bit of humility from the Bazball kind of vibe. To be like, look, we got some stuff wrong in that game. Like, if we did that again, maybe we'd play slightly different shots. Maybe we'd have done this slightly differently. We could have approached the game slightly better at this situation, and we would have been better for it. We'll learn and move forward. But instead, it's like now we could just we should have hit it for six, mate.
it,
I just
yeah,
just rein it in. I think because
it
otherwise you
gets a
do come
bit
across
tiring, doesn't
cultish.
it?
Yeah, like I completely understand it, but everyone knows the messaging and the way they want to play. It's fine, and everyone loves it and supports it. But I think just taking a step back to say, yeah, we got a little bit wrong, but we'll move on next time. I just think it doesn't hurt, does it?
Like Jose Mourinho did an interview with Rio Ferdinand recently, and he was talking about like when your team is the top shit, you can act
Hmm.
arrogant and like puff your
Yeah,
chest out and all
yeah,
that. But like when you're playing another team who is better than you, you've
yeah,
got to show a bit of humility and sort of adapt to how they
yeah,
play and like just
yeah,
be a bit more defensive or whatever. So like when England are balling their hearts out and getting massive scores and winning and whatever, you can
yeah. Of
act like dickheads because you've won
course you can.
and you've
Yeah,
played well. But when you've lost by 400 fucking runs,
yeah,
it's a fucking grip. Stop calling out like umpires for
yeah.
the
An
DRS,
umpire's call that wouldn't have mattered.
like players only scoring runs because of you and your
Yeah,
fucking play self. Fuck
yeah, that's
off.
bad. Yeah,
Show some humility and like say, well played, India. You were better than us. We were crap. We'll try to improve
yeah.
and we'll try and
Because
win.
you can
Yeah,
still do the same
well,
messages. Be like, we didn't turn up the game to the level that we want to, but we'll stick to our guns and how we play and hope that we are better next week.
like
That's fine. Like just
acknowledge that it's a high risk, high reward kind
yeah,
of style as well, and be like,
yeah.
it's
Just
not
understand. Yeah,
come off
yeah,
today because it's like there are some low probability shots
yeah,
going out or like Crum was bowling really well. What? Just, ugh,
yeah.
it, yeah.
I know. I agree. But I mean, on the back to Stokes bowling, obviously, if he's fit to bowl, that makes a huge difference for England because you then have that third or second seamer. So if it spins next game, you can play Bashir and have three spinners plus one of Robinson, Anderson, Wood, or Atkinson. Lest you forget he's there for some reason. He pulled out the IPL as well for the care of nobody. Um, and then you have Stokes. So you could either have the two seamers and then three spinners plus Root. So that's a lot of bowling options, which obviously helps with the fatigue and mental weariness and all that kind of stuff that you
Plus
can keep coming back again.
plus Dan Lawrence.
Um, plus plus Ben Duckett. Um, and then if you want to play three seamers, then you've also got that option as well. Um, of course, it makes such a huge difference if Stokes can bowl because he's got almost 200 Test wickets and he bowls good pace and can be that enforcer type. Um, but he said he wasn't going to bowl this series because he wasn't going to be ready, and then it almost feels a bit like that kind of panic station again, where it's like, oh, it's fine, but I'll bowl. But it's like, oh, I need to bowl.
It,
We'll
it's
see.
like they've just lost the match really badly and have been like, we've been a bit short on
Yeah,
some bowlers. And they're like,
what can we do?
I'll just push through the pain. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. So yeah, looking forward then. Quick preview for the fourth test. Um, England are pretty much set to name the same top seven. as far as I'm aware. So Crawley, Duckett, Pope, Root, Bairstow,
Right.
Stokes, folks. Um, I think the vague stuff I've read or heard from various cricket journalists, and it could change over the next couple of days, is that I think it's more likely spin at this next ground. And I think it's Durham Sailor, I think. So probably will be Bashir, Rahan, and Hartley, and then probably Ollie Robinson, I think, because Wood and Anderson have just played the last test, which I think makes sense. Um,
Robinson can bowl some spin as well, can't he?
he
So
can, yeah, get his sunnies on. And they're not going to chuck a debut to Atkinson, so I think that's probably most likely. Um, in terms of India news, Rahul is still injured, so still no Rahul. And also Bumrah is being rested for the fourth test. Which, again, England have got this kind of opportunity where I'm not going to say the wheels are off for India this time because they're still very good, but Bumrah's not going to be in the side, and that's a huge difference with the reverse swing and the pace he gets. And they're going to have to rely on Siraj and probably bowl free spinners as well. Probably Patel comes in. They have called up, I believe it is the pacer who bowled in the second game, Mukesh Kumar, I think, who didn't have a great game the second test. He got a bit carted around and stuff. Um, so I think they'll probably play free spinners and Siraj, which is still a good bowling attack. But again, it's no Bumrah and it's no Rahul and it's no Kohli. Um,
but like we said that after the first game,
yeah.
there were
How many times can
only
England not
Rahul
take an
and
opportunity,
Jadeja,
Yeah,
and like they
yeah,
couldn't take it. Like
yeah.
if
So
I was
yeah,
India, I'd be tempted to play Bumrah and just get the 3 wins out of the way. But
yeah, yeah,
like these top teams are especially good at rotating their bowlers. Like
exactly.
Australia are especially good at it with all the seam bowlers they have,
Yeah,
and like the history of injuries those bowlers have had as well. Just
for
being able
sure.
to rotate them at the right time and
Yeah,
they come in and do the job anyway. Mm.
definitely.
Which
And it gives,
can't seem to
yeah,
do. It just seems to be a bit of like a potluck of when the bowler comes in.
yeah. I mean, I guess the way they can look at it is, if they win this game, great. If they don't win this game, then they've got the best opportunity to do so with Bummer in the last game, haven't they? That's the thought process, I suppose. But yeah, I imagine it will be Kuldeep, Siraj, Jadeja, Ashwin, and Axar Patel. I'd imagine they have called up Washington Sundar as well. I don't think he'll likely play ahead of Patel, but still a very strong side, gelling as well as they can be. England probably not so much. Um, don't know what the pitch is going to be like. Like I said, if it's probably going to be spinning. Be good to see Bashir get another go, and I think it's also probably good for Root not to be relied on so much with the ball, which I felt in that last game. I don't know if that does detract a bit from his batting if he's being bowled as a frontline spinner. Um, but that's all ifs and buts. Um, but yeah, I think that's all the news I've got so far for the next game is that Bairstow will be in and Bumrah won't be playing. And that takes place on Friday, I believe. Maybe.
You know,
Yes, because I think day five was supposed to be yesterday, wasn't it? Sure. Um, cool. Have you got any other thoughts about the series? I think I covered most of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Stokes just played his 100th game in that last game, so a test to remember. Um, good for him. Oh, you'll be excited to know that the obviously the International League T20, whatever it's called, finished at the weekend. I didn't look at a single fixture. But you'll be glad to know that the fifth game of the PSL took place today, um, which seemed to start just as the ILT20 is finished. So we have literal bookend franchise competitions happening. Who knows what's happening? But the Sultans won by 5 wickets, which I'm sure you'd be happy to know. They beat Islamabad.
Yeah, they're my boys.
Your boys. But to be fair, look at it, they won with one ball remaining.
Yeah.
So that could be in a good game. Is any I'm just this is not interesting to anyone, but is anyone we knew know playing? Alex Hales, Jordan Cox, Tymon Mills, Darrow Milan. Uh yeah, just the normal kind of stuff you expect from people on franchise competitions. So love it. Can't wait for more of that. Um,
I mean, do we
that
want to
right.
talk about if umpire's call is good and like call Stokes a dickhead for it, or
I mean, I don't have a lot to say on it.
yeah, fair.
Um,
I just thought it was a weird thing to say.
yeah, my this isn't really umpire's call stuff, but I think it's odd to. I don't really think it's really a fight you want to be picking, like you said, when you've lost by 400 odd runs. Um, and there's a time and place to have those conversations. I find it odd with LBWs that you can be not out as soon as it pitches outside leg.
Hmm.
I've always found that odd.
Yeah.
Like if it goes on to hit the stumps and it goes on to hit the stumps, like I think it used to be that it used to be kind of a blind spot um for batters. But just the game is so heavily in favor of batters as it is. Why can't you just have the ball pitch outside leg and if it goes on to hit the stump, then it is. That's got nothing to do with the umpire school debate. That's just my general feeling about LBWs.
Not that I think there should either be a debate about umpire's call.
Yeah.
Anyway, like it,
No. Well,
it
there's that
serves
video
a
about
purpose.
Nasted, isn't there? Yeah.
You know,
It's
it allows for a margin of error with the tape.
exactly, yeah.
You
I think
don't
yeah.
lose a review if it goes against you. Like,
No.
I, it's just like a weird post-match thing to say.
Yeah.
England have been
Yeah.
on their colty form, like
Yeah, there is a lot of saltiness. I mean, I do get the point he said about the Crawley dismissal in the second innings, where the image was very clearly the ball not hitting the stumps, and then it still said umpire's call. That doesn't make sense. Like, if it's sure if you've projected the wrong image, then that's an issue. You need to project the right one. Um, but yeah, you can't. I don't think you can have a scenario where it says umpire's call on the screen, but the ball isn't hitting the stumps. That makes no sense. Um,
I, I,
but yeah,
I think you would rather trust that happening. Like if the image is off,
yeah,
but the numbers or the
yeah.
process
If
are
the
like
numbers are correct, it's supposed to.
computing,
Yeah, yeah,
then you've got to accept that. If it's like it's hit, if the picture is showing it's hitting the stumps,
yeah,
but the numbers are saying it's missing,
yeah.
then you've got a bit more of a problem.
Mm. Yeah.
It's a bit,
I mean, I think, yeah, I agree. But I think there's also just that kind of, they've just lost the game. I think pretty much all their LBWs were umpires' calls and marginal umpires' calls. So I can get that kind of frustration when you're a team and nothing is going your way. Um, but then they've also products their own downfall. You know, the reason a lot of things didn't go their way is they didn't play particularly well. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. It's
yeah.
not, I realize it's kind of nothing, but that's my stuff. But yeah, that's our cricket chat done pretty much. I think Australia and New Zealand play a T20 series that start tomorrow. New Zealand just won the two test series against South Africa's C team, even though South Africa's C team put up a good fight in the second test. Um, I think David Bedingham is his name, I think it is. Again, great cricket knowledge. Um, got 100, which is good to see, but that's all I've got.
Oh, that's more than what I've got. But
I mean, we'll be sure to if there's any other cricket that happens next time, or if you listen to and you think there's cricket we missed, maybe there's some European cricket that we've not covered. Happy to talk about it. Um, but yeah, that's all from me. Unless you've got a just not crick,
um, Reading currently drawing 0-0 with Port Vale in League One.
huge news.
Yeah, I just thought everyone would like to know that.
Yeah, dependent upon how the Manchester United fixture went on Sunday, I was prepared to do a top 10 things to do in Luton. Didn't quite get to that.
I mean, good.
Um, but no, I mean, I don't have a just not crick either or a city point.
Then step
Um,
up.
oh, I know. Actually, I will tell you a silly point.
All right, have fun.
Um, this relates to a bit of shameless plug promotion. Um, we are pretty big on TikTok.
Nah,
If you'd like to follow us on TikTok, we currently have 1,181 followers.
join
If you
our
want
cult.
to join our cult there, It's growing all the time. So I've done some little memes when, I've got nothing better to do. Um, and one of the captions for said meme was padding up when you're batting an iron, your team is 20 for 6, and it's got a guy dancing to Murder on the Dance Floor. Obviously a big hit at the Mo. It got 38 comments.
No.
Um, and it's just the kind of like responses is are you just trying to pretend these happen to you to look cool on internet? Um,
Of course they
so
are.
and it's just sort of like this is amusing. I enjoy this. So coincidentally, the first one from Elijah, I mean, this is big old shout outs. If you listen to Just Not Crick Pod and you're hearing yourself being shouted out from TikTok, you're loving life right now. So Elijah commented, coincidentally, the day after I posted this, last night I opened and we were 5 for 5. I mean, it could have done, but it's
But
quite coincidental that happens with this TikTok. It got 33 likes for Elijah there. Um, so this person is my particular favorite. Is called I Have No Name.
cool. Yeah, I like it.
And he said, "Bro, I love it when they start with a bro.
Yeah.
Bro, I literally did that yesterday and made 60. I doubt that.
I mean, like
Did I literally did this
they,
yesterday
they'd have to be
and made 60.
also like playing subcontinent or Oz or New
Australia.
Zealand, right? So
Yeah.
maybe
I mean, there's a
like
chance
we've got
it could happen.
we can only take them at face value. So well played. Well done,
Well, yep,
60.
all of these are correct.
The other guy,
Um,
that 5 for 5 is well shit. Get it together.
so this is from H Tex H Tex. I think he's trying to do Techers, but it's Tex. That happened to me on Saturday against Grey P. I don't know who Grey P are, but thanks for letting us know.
Yeah,
They're pretty good, but still beat them. Except I batted 8 with 5 wickets down. Well done.
yeah. Well, it takes a very special batter to come in as 8 when you're 5 down.
Yeah, I mean,
But like,
yeah,
I'll
well done.
as
Um,
assume that was a typo and 6 down. I don't know.
yeah.
Oh,
I mean, footy time
well
could.
played. You won. Well done.
I want to know I want to see the scorecard. Send it.
Yeah. What are the stats?
Footy time jumped in as well. He said I filled in for a team. We got 23 for 9. That feels a bit more accurate. Like I just played a random game at one point and we were 23 for 9.
I mean,
That's
to be
probably.
fair, our team were literally like 8 for 3 in the last game I
Yeah, yeah,
played.
yeah, yeah. It happens. I don't that there I can be like, cool, that makes sense. But someone be like, oh yeah, yesterday we were 5 for 5. I'm like, I don't know. Um, Orlando came in needing 50 of the last three. I mean, that's just a cricket score. Um, again, we got another guy, James Miskimming. I don't think that's a real name. Did this yesterday, laughy face. Scored 1 of 2. I mean, that sounds real.
Not out or
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
like
Baz 24. That's exactly what happened to me. Sure. Um, so Riley Furness. I read with I read this with my 35 of 14 and got caught on the boundary. There's just so much like people wanting to be like, I did this. I got this many runs off this many balls. And I'm like,
I like this new segment of you calling out the people
oh
commenting on
man.
our social media.
I just found it fun that I'd love to see these actual things. Yeah, I mean, this other guy said I got 38 or 14 balls in my last game. It's not what the TikTok's about. Uh, but it's just like I'm enjoying it. Like I don't know who these people are. I imagine a lot of them are fairly young, having a good old time with cricket memes, and good luck to them and they're welcome with the cricket chat. I
Oh,
find
like
it fun.
no one older than 30 is on TikTok anyway, so it's,
Exactly. I'm 29.
yeah, if I sure as fuck doesn't matter.
Cool. Well, I'll maybe try and do another meme for next week and see if we get as much traction and as many comments and good fun times. Um, the last one I will point out It's from a different meme where I did one about indoor nets, where the caption was when in winter nets hearts when winter nets start and you finally hit one out of the middle after being bowled 4 times, and it's got a little dog having a little amused dance. It's got 11,000 views. I don't understand. Um, and then this girl commented, and then you tell the bowling, go fetch that one, champ. And then someone replied with
Like,
the name not gone.
I don't understand with social media in general. Like, why are you saying that? Like, who is that
Yeah,
for?
yeah. But then what? It's and then someone replied. This is what I enjoy when it goes like there's layers. This account is called Knob Cheese. Um, and he replies, "Bro, it's indoor nets. It's not going anywhere." It's like, why are you starting a fight on a cricket meme? And then the girl responds, "Calm down, Knob Cheese." I'm like, what am I looking at?
Uh,
Oh God. So that's our new maybe City Point TikTok segment.
I mean, it just like TikTok in general is a silly point.
Oh, but it does well for our algorithm. So if you love us, follow us there. Um, yeah, that's it. I just found it amusing.
Yeah,
Um,
it filled in some time.
it did, it did. You got a free 3 point there for me just calling out people who comment on our stuff and so by supporting our stuff. Um, yeah, so that's it. We'll be back for the next test if we don't forget this one as well. And that'll be some point next week. And that's all I've got.
Yeah,
Anything from you? You're
no,
gonna say cheerio? Okay. Well, I'll say cheerio from me and from Jamie, and I
ready.
will see you next week, maybe
Roxy.
if we remember.
Just not Crick Pod, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter.
All the places. Go follow us.
Alt.